Good morning, everybody. My name is Tom Bailey. I'm Chairman of CATEX Europe, and I'm joined today by Mark Kinsella from RFIB and David Belsham from RFIB. I'm not going to drone on too long. I think it's much more interesting to hear from RFIB's perspective about their project and lessons they've learned and how they found it. But just to put a little bit of context around what we're going to be talking about, I just want to give you a very quick overview of the CATEX product that RFIB has implemented. So they implemented the CATEX bordereau management system, and that's a cloud-based system that is used by carriers, syndicates, brokers, MGAs. But the primary objective of it is to effectively manage cover holder relationships, both at the level of making sure that they are compliant, that PI certificates are up to date, but most importantly that the bordereau process is effectively managed. Now, one of the key differentiators is that the system ingests both risk bordereau, premium bordereau and written bordereau, and essentially recompiles the underlying portfolio. So if you have a client or a cover holder who's written a risk and they've declared it in bordereau, you can see whether premium or multiple premium payments or APs and RPs have attached that underlying record. Equally, the claims that come in, the claim developments will be logged at a claim level, but those claims will attach to the underlying portfolio. So you can do an awful lot of analysis on your recompiled portfolio as well as reporting beyond that. One of the key elements of it, and the piece that sits at the heart, is a CATEX module called Data Vera. Now, people license Data Vera as a standalone piece, but it sits at the heart of the bordereau management. And it's a very sophisticated tool for bringing in structured data and formatting it in a consistent basis. Where it differentiates from many others is that it learns as it goes along. So if you apply some business logic to a particular column, cell, or bordereau file, it will learn that going forward. So it's quite sophisticated, and it strips out an awful lot of time and effort, particularly the upfront effort that is often required to do the pre-mapping. So that's a key piece of the bordereau management system, Data Vera, which sits at its heart and reformats. The system applies specific business rules by line of business, and it enables a high level of collaboration. So it's trying to drive efficiency right the way through the process. The data sits in a consistent database, and you can output in whatever format you need. So if you need to do ER 3001 for your output bordereau, you can do that. But if a particular market wants their data in a particular format, you can do that. Again, you can produce Lloyd's premium bordereau, RMS, AR outputs, and so on. And you can pass data back to the cover holders in whatever format they may want. All the data that comes in is future-proof. So though you may not be mapping it or using it right now, you can retrospectively say, color of front door, which is a field that a number of our cover holders have provided, we've ignored. But actually, some analysis suggests that the red front doors tend to get kicked down more often. So you could go back and say, where it's reported, I want to take front door color and drive that through to a field. So it's future-proofing without having to go back to source data. You can say, at a database level, I now want to apply this rule, or revise rules. So you may want to say, everything that we've historically mapped to a certain construction code, we want to redefine to a different one. And the final thing, again, is that any time you make a change to the data, the system provides an audit report. So if you take a file in, you apply some business logic and some cleanup rules to it, and pass the resultant data out, you can hand that over with an audit certificate, which will tell any recipient of the formatted data exactly what you've done, cell by cell. So you're, in a way, holding yourself harmless, and you can say to people, look, if you don't trust what we're doing, go to the raw data. But I guess you're being helpful as well as transparent in what you're doing. So I think that's sort of enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Mark now.
Thanks.
As the clicker.
Thanks, Tom. Moving swiftly along. So a couple of years ago, David and myself were tasked with looking around the market for a system to help the binding authority's business. And yeah, there's a lot of chat and talk about it, but the requirements weren't very specific. But the more we talked to different stakeholders, if you like, the more it became apparent that we had to, if we were going to buy a system, that system had to deliver benefit to us, obviously, as the broker, had to deliver benefit to the underwriter, but probably most of all, it had to deliver benefit to the cover holder. And a lot of what we were looking at the time really talked about data transformation, taking in spreadsheets from the cover holder, transforming them, passing them on to the underwriter. The benefits we were looking for were things like, for ourselves, we wanted a productivity benefit, clearly. We wanted better management information. We would get the feeling from the underwriters that all we could really see for them was really sort of better quality of data, so a data cleansing process and that sort of stuff. And what the system seemed to be offering us was the ability to, as I say, transform the data. If the data comes into a different format, you don't have to worry because the outputs may be the same format, therefore benefiting the underwriter. And we talked to the underwriter and said, well, that is a benefit, of course, to the underwriter, but it's not really doing the whole thing for all of us from our initial premise. And so we talked to the underwriters and said, what do you really want out of the system? Or what do you think we should be looking at? And they consistently, we only spoke to 2 or 3 actually, but their remarks were very important. And what they were saying really was that what we should be doing, what we should be getting out of the system was the information to feed back to the cover holder about where they were, their average written rates, where they were approaching the aggregate. We should be able, as a broker, to know more about their business than they did because they were giving us the information. And we took that to mean really that the key points about binding authorities management systems is not sort of transforming the data and giving the nice cleansed piece of data to the underwriter. Actually, for the underwriter is imposing on the cover holder quite a problem. And that problem is creating this data in the first place, and somehow we had to address that as well. What the underwriter was saying to us, we need you, I'm paraphrasing what they actually said, we need you to bring cover holder business into the London market. And to do that, you've got to be responsive to your cover holder. So we selected a system that allowed us to bring all the data together, whether it's premium data, whether it's claim data, or whether it's risk data, bring it all together into one place so that we could do that analysis. We want to be able to provide an automation benefit to the cover holder, and the way we want to do that is we recognise actually they are reformatting a lot of this data, a lot of the time cutting and slicing into spreadsheets and tabs. We want to be able to take it in the way that they just naturally output it as a byproduct of their system, if we can. The key thing was that we want to bring it all together so that we could actually control the data, and then obviously the byproduct is that we pass on that cleansed data to the underwriters. So, having said that, that's how we chose the system. That's the key benefits we were looking for: automation through productivity, information analysis we can do, but provide good data quality both to the cover holder, frankly, and to the underwriter.
One of the things that Mark didn't pick up on there, maybe potentially, maybe not, is the fact that I wanted to have a lot more automation internally, so I didn't have to spend weeks and weeks creating Excel spreadsheets or updating Excel spreadsheets. So I wanted something that would take any information coming in that would give me my earnings to incur statistics or my aggregates without having to play around and fiddle with them. And at the time, much of what we had took a long time to get done. But basically, very much so, we were tasked to look at how we could benefit the cover holders and how we could benefit the underwriters, and I wanted to look at what I'd get out of it as well, to be honest with you. So, what did we learn? Well, the initial step we had to take was obviously get some data in there. We can't see what the output is until we've got some data in there. Basically, a lot of the stuff we were getting in was straightforward, very much the same sort of Excel spreadsheets, but it's amazing if you've got the same spreadsheet used by 5 different cover holders, how 5 different cover holders can complete the field completely differently. There was lots of errors within the document sent. For example, some of the pain points we had was columns being used for both data, which was numeric and or text, people using dollar signs and currency signs erroneously, fields completely missing, of course, and rates being used as either a percentage or an amount. So we had a long time to try and look at what was going on there. Fortunately for us, Data Vera helped us a great deal. Once we'd done the initial mapping for a board row, the intelligence there just picks it up and carries it on, which was great. Of course, the next hurdle we had to cross then was thinking about what else did we have to cover. And if we're going to invest money in looking at what we do with our property business, we should also think about the other areas. So initially, liability and combined products were looked at as well. We also had to play with a little bit of development because some of our cover holders gave us in-force and some of us gave us monthly data. So, once we've resolved this issue and we've gotten back on track with the data issue, the data's been poor quality and so on, we then had to look at what we had to do about actually changing any data. Obviously, as a broker, we don't want to be manipulating any data that's received. CATEX had a fantastic function, a collaboration function, which basically, if there's an error in a spreadsheet, you can click the button and it goes straight back to the cover holder in an email form. There's an error here. Open this link, the link takes you directly to the page, they change the page and it's all done. And then you have this audit trail to say who's made the changes. Additional benefits. Okay, so the audit trail obviously is a big benefit. And I think we can actually say by using that, we can probably we don't play with any data whatsoever. The reports we get out, absolutely fantastic. Anything we ask to do, we can actually produce now. And we don't have to ask our cover holders to give us any redesigned data in the first place. As long as we've got the stuff, we can put it in whatever way we want it. The other thing we've got, which I think is pretty good, is our dashboard. I'll give you a demo of the dashboard, basically, which gives us great information for aggregate exposure and so on, and well, this is all test data. But the internal reports that I wanted something like, would give me a breakdown of surplus lines reported. I wanted something that would give me a wardrobe breakdown to pass to my technicians so that they didn't misprocess things. And also my earns and incurs, which are getting much more accurate. Finally, there's a time-saving element, of course, which is great for everybody. And that also is now being expanded further into our next project that CATEX has been working on, along with other people, of course. But with a download from X amount from Lineage into CATEX, which will automatically populate the information there. Our Canadian book actually wanted to pick up as well, because if we're using this system for the US, we want to use it for everything. The information is downloaded, obviously in an Excel format, goes straight into CATEX, and we can produce the reports straight out of that. Of course, the flip side of that is if we can download straight into CATEX, we should be able to download straight out of it as well. And one of the solutions we're looking at with our cover holders at the moment is for them to supply us with the data directly from their mainframe systems that we can put straight into Lineage on their behalf. Obviously, this is a massive saving of time for them and resources as well. And I'm hoping that this is going to be quite a good issue for them.
Back to Tom. You're glad to hear this is the final slide, so this will be much longer. A point I'd like to make is that from our perspective, the success of the project is very largely down to the RFIB team. We've had a small team that have worked very diligently and conscientiously on it, and without that, no project will ever succeed. The final point that Mark wanted to make was they've just got on with it. They've kept their heads down. They've been uploading the data, backloading the entire picture, and it's only at this point where all the data is complete and everything's flowing very smoothly in and out and reports coming out that RFIB really wanted to discuss within the market what they've been doing and indeed what they had achieved. A couple of points just around data vera. So, as David said, that was really key in enabling them to get the data into the system quickly and efficiently, and its intuitive learning means that it gets easier the further you go down the process. As I said before, it's used in ever-growing numbers, both as a standalone module, but also as part of the border management system. There are a couple of important pilot projects that are taking place at the moment. David referred to one which is backfilling lineage systems. So I think a lot of Scheme Canada cover holders find lineage a bit of a challenge, and certainly a duplication. The view that we formed certainly with RFIB is that where cover holders send the data through, back populate it and take that away from them. So things like that can draw quite a few benefits to the different stakeholders in the process. As part of an OASIS project, data there is being used to handle quite a lot of data manipulation. There'll be more of that talked about in the press quite soon. It's being expanded beyond treaties and binders to be used for modelling of all sorts of data sources that come in, be it vessels, aircraft, satellite, etc. I've spoken about lineage, and we're also connecting Data Vera and the main application with various modelling firms on a direct web service basis. So it's becoming quite an integrated part of data flow and data handling within the market. I guess if you've got any questions for any of the three of us, far away. If not, you can feel free, please, to follow up on anything you might want to discuss, or demos or anything, again, with any of the three of us. Any questions? Obviously covered it well. Yes?
What you explained about OASIS to the audience, about where that sits in the modelling landscape, if you like. But there is also another project at the LMA, also, which is the EDP project. Can you explain, or are you involved with that?
We are absolutely involved in that, yes. I wouldn't want to, I guess, jump the gun too much, but I think what I might suggest is that CATEX, as part of a panel, might come back in a context really looking around that data, EDP, and particularly in its application with modelling organisations such as your own. So yeah, it's early stages, but we see ourselves very much at the heart of that EDP project.
You mentioned that this is something with cloud. How do
Yeah.
the cover holders actually put the data into the system? How do you get the data? How does it arrive? Does it come through the cloud?
Well, do you want to take one? Well, they don't. At the moment, although that capability will exist. So I just got to rescue the glasses. No, they're still sending spreadsheets in the same way. CATEX has got the ability to upload XML as well, and we will probably be looking very shortly at being facilitating that, so it happens automatically. Really, the key point at the moment is it's still spreadsheets. But it's all of them. It's the premiums, it's the claims, and the risks coming together. It's validation. You know, does this claim have a premium associated with all that sort of stuff? And as I say, we're looking to move that forward. There is some collaboration facility in the plan, and David's already mentioned.
And of course, you can get your cover holders to load up the data, but I think RFIB quite rightly have taken the view, let's walk and then run, and just make sure that everything is working perfectly and that they're comfortable with the data challenges rather than throwing them back to the cover holders at this stage. But the answer is web-based, so you can absolutely open it up to your cover holders.
Is there any cover holders in the pipeline to send you XML instead of spreadsheets?
I can't. The answer to that question is I can't give you a definitive answer at the moment. But yeah, we're talking to a few of them about that possibility. What we haven't done is actually define the business process and that works yet. So,
and that's what the project's doing, I believe. The whole binder project is going on the marketplace.
yeah, I'm not on that project actually, but one of David's team is, so
Okay.
we're keeping a watching brief on that.
Right.
How long has it taken for you to get this to where it is now?
It's taken 2 years, really.
2 years.
Yeah. Initially, a lot of it was very much mapping processes, but the last year or so has been the real fill-up with the backloading.
I think it's fair to say we had a bit of a restart when we started using Data Vera. So,
Mark, question. What's your strategy for giving access to the data to your underwriters? Are you shipping the data to them, having
At the
gone
moment-
through CATEX, or are you going to be giving them
at the moment, it's business as is. So it's the cleansed data in a standard format. However, now we've got the capability, as I think Tom alluded to, actually, there's some of the reports you get off CATEX there's sort of direct reports into CAT modelling systems and things like that. And all of that we'll be exploring going forward, really. But at the moment, what the business process is still the cover holder sends us their data, and then we send the cleansed data back on. What we can now do is analyse the business and that, to me, maybe not to other people, because obviously I'm not a business person, but to me it was shocking how poor the data quality was beforehand. Because you just expect, it not to be like that, and that's, obviously what that means is the cover holders are typing these things up manually. And we need to help migrate them away from that, really. Because they have systems that produce the data that we need. It's just the way that it comes out.
And I think that the project that's going on in the marketplace that Sarah's involved, I know, is really, I think, made great progress in the last, well, certainly this year. So hopefully, cover holders can come on quite quickly. So you're sending that data in a more structured format.
We also have that. I mean, obviously, there's a technical sort of thing that they've got to go through. So,
Yeah.
And how the message is actually sent and received is not something that's resolved.
Yeah.
The CATEX system takes XML now, and it doesn't have to be a Accord standard, frankly. It could be any form of XML because it's got the mapping tool. But the actual how that message arrives is not we haven't defined.
You haven't got a problem with that, how it arrives, have you?
No, I'm not at the moment.
Yeah.
So, I think just regarding the reporting tool, is it built-in reporting tool that you use, or can we use a different reporting tool?
That's a great question. So by default, it's using SQL reporting services, Microsoft Report Builder, but you can just take entire SQL tables into your own environment. So if you need to ingest large amounts of data that you then want to do some sophisticated manipulation or modeling on, you can just ingest complete SQL tables. So it's sort of up to you.
And is it capable of populating the backend system? So when you receive the workload, after it has the data, can it populate the backend system automatically?
Absolutely, yes, yes. And that's exactly what it does, yeah.
Fantastic.
Great.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you all for your time.
Really quite interesting. Thank you.